This is Rebecca Lowe, or Rebecca Lua if you listen to Suboptimal Radio, and you are listening to Men in Blazers on the NBC Sports Network.
It's unbelievable!
The man next to me, former professional hockey player, NHL coach, who's traded skates for soccer. He currently serves as chairman of Southampton Football Club, a magical side, experienced a miraculous journey from near bankruptcy in League One in 2009, long before he got there, to this season, where despite having their roster pillaged by Premier League powers before a ball was kicked, Ronald Koeman's team stand on the precipice of a Europa League spot. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the Panic Room a man who's had 52 stitches in that face, Mr. Ralph Krueger.
It's nice to be here. Hello, everybody.
Ralph, delighted to have you. The Premier League title is coming to a close. What a magical season it's been for Southampton. There were weeks when even Ronald Koeman seemed to start to believe that Champions League football might be within touch. It was not to be. How do you feel now? Do you feel job well done? Or do you feel a little bit like Moses, able to see the promised land but not enter it?
We feel happy with the big picture. In the small picture, we would have liked to have stayed in the race longer. We tasted what it could be like to be in the Champions League group, and we've reset our goal to continue to reach for that as we go forward. It's very clear in our management level and in the board that we want to build a Champions League team against all odds, and I think the taste of that was good. We didn't have the depth to take us there this year. The injuries showed up where you could see where the big clubs have more power to go all the way. But it's been an interesting journey. When you look back a year, Roger, when you visited us in the fall,
November.
It's a different world. We have a different atmosphere now. Players want to stay. Players want to come. It's a good place to be, Southampton Football Club.
Against all the odds. I do like that. I believe it. We're going to tap into that. But we've got to talk about you first. Yeah. You made your name in the world of hockey. 1 minute, you're Edmonton Oilers coach. It almost seems like the next. You crop up in Southampton. You're chairing a Premier League football team. Can you tell us, what's a boy from Winterpeg, the Peg, with a background in hockey and strategic sports leadership? Yeah. What did you know of football before you took over? And what do you know of the Premier League in particular?
Although I grew up in minus 40 degrees for half my life until 20 in
Winnipeg. That's all the background you need to get a job in England.
That's it. No, it's so you understand the cold. But it really, truly, I was at a boarding school there. My parents sent me away when I was 9, and St. John's Ravenscourt had a football foundation, actually. So it was interesting. I played football till I was 16, combined with ice hockey, which almost nobody knows, but I don't talk about it because it wasn't enough to...
Football,
soccer, yeah.
What Ralph Krueger, the soccerist, just give us a description.
I was a striker, that was it. I wasn't very fast on the ice, and I wasn't very fast on the pitch, but I knew how to score.
So Ricky Lambert, before there was a Ricky Lambert.
But it's interesting because that was a seed that was planted, and then I went on a long journey as a professional, 13 years, 25 in ice hockey, where I was able to experience everything you possibly could dream of, finishing with the 4 years of combined National Hockey League and Canadian national team at Olympics in Sochi. So I've really had a wonderful journey. I was looking for somewhere to grow. I was looking for somewhere to challenge my wherewithal of taking it to another level as a leader, and this came on the table, and it was really unexpected. I wasn't planning to go into the football world, soccer, but it was there, and much too interesting to give up. It was a difficult challenge. It was a huge opportunity, though, for me personally to grow and to take my multiple interests that I'd had over the years about leadership to a project, and this is what it is.
But English football in general, and Southampton has had a history with this. It hasn't received outsiders.
No.
Warmly. Did you come in and find your outsider's eye an asset, or to what extent was it a hindrance and you had barriers that you had to overcome a year ago?
Well, that I didn't have your English accent was the first barrier.
Mine's fate, Ralph.
Having the Winnipeg accent didn't. You walk in there and it's the North American coming into English football. But more than anything, the English are very open, and they very quickly judge you not on what you say, but on what you do. And it was like in the summer, crazy transfer market. I kept saying to everybody, let's wait till September 1. Let's wait. As I was getting letters that I wouldn't be able to read here on the air because I think you have young viewership here also. But it was
those letters were from me. I didn't mean them.
No, but that's the best. It was really truly a passionate summer for our fans last year, and there was a lot of aggression. And all I kept saying was, I didn't want to give them a lot of color coding and icing. I wanted to tell them we're working on the meat here in Southampton, so judge us once the transfer market's over. And this, I believe, they're doing right now, and we've connected. But it was, at the beginning it was stormy, it was hard, it was difficult, but that's what I was looking for. I wanted something that would scare me a little bit, and it did. And the Premier League is a monstrous responsibility to run a club there for the fan base, the only club south of England, of London actually, until now with Bournemouth, but really has been fascinating.
We're going to talk about your experience of this season in 1 second, but before we jump into that, I do want to say, what a year you've had as an Everton fan, as a man who supports an underdog. Many Americans here have emotionally connected to underdog teams. I think Southampton have been a beacon for many fans, not just of Southampton. But was there a moment this season when you thought, bloody hell, every team this season has inconsistencies apart from Chelsea? We, underdog Southampton, might just do this. Was there a moment when you thought, we're sailing?
Yeah, I think that we kept the picture small, although on my day-to-day job, I need to keep it big and work with the board on the large picture and acquiring a sustainable leadership model. But in the end, you're caught up in the day-to-day and the week-to-week and the cup games and the league games, and we tried to keep the picture small and just keep the standings actually out of our conversations. But there were, it was exciting because the first season I came in, which was the 13-14 year. I mean, we were there, we hung around, but only till Christmas. And this year we were able to jump right back in and have a great January, and it brought us into the mix longer. In the final third of the season, we've dropped away for clear reasons that we're working on to fix. But otherwise, I have to say the process has been perfect. I don't think we're quite ready for Champions League football yet. You need a deeper roster. You need to be able to handle that and keep strong in the Premier League at the same time, which the big clubs do. But the underdog role is fine, and we will continue to thrive at believing that on a given day we can beat anybody.
But now the embers of the season are dying down. Southampton are in the running for a Europa League place. Some would say this competition is almost a cruel trick perpetrated against teams that have ambition, that believe they can crack the top four. Before they're allowed to, they have to go to parts of Europe really only known by those in the international arms trade. Huge number of games, 19 extra games, exhaust their squad, get very little financial return on the whole thing. It's exhausting. Does part of you wish that Southampton don't qualify for the Europa League this season so you can focus on the Premier League campaign next?
I think if you're in the Europa League, it's important how you use it. Your prime focus still needs to be the Premier League. No question about that you don't get caught up in it. But my experience in my original sport, ice hockey, is that you build on your experiences by getting out there, by seeing teams that aren't in the Premier League, looking at their kits and traveling and going into really hostile environments. And it's a process. So the Europa League would be good for us. And important is people need to understand we have an English spine in our team. We have young players. We have, certainly one of the top academies in England and maybe in the world. And giving those young players opportunities also in these matches would be part of the process. And it's not about necessarily having to win the Europa League right away. It's just getting those experiences into our group, which is young, which is growing, which we're fighting to keep together. And I think it would be a good time.
Focus. The only part of Europe you really need to focus on is going to Wales. Get 3 points at Swansea. That's the only part of Europe you really need to see. Let me take you back to the start of this season. I mean, it's an equation that defies football logic. How does a club who had the 6th best defence in the Premier League sell $104 million worth of talent from their back four, recruit 2 loan signings, and end up the season with only Chelsea having a better goals against record? How does that happen?
Well, I think it began with really, it begins off the pitch. It's building a strong team there. And one of the things I know is what I know, and I also know what I don't know. And hiring an excellent director of football, really in the North American sense of a general manager, and Les Reed, and supporting him with a manager that fit into our philosophy and that truly could live the Southampton way, and that's Ronald Koeman and his staff. We have such good people in that role. We're, the rest of the board, our CEO from within to run the business, and 2 external hires of commercial and financial support have given us a team off the pitch that's really working together as a group, just like the one on the pitch. And I think that's different. We have very simple lines. Our owner, Katarina Liebherr, is, her heart's in the right place. She also trusts us and lets us do our jobs, and we can make very quick decisions. I believe most of the English football clubs have much more complex structures around them. And in Southampton, things happen quickly, and we did that last summer. We made 28 different transfers in a very short period of time, holding the line, staying on our program, looking for players that fit the Southampton way. And so I don't believe any of this is luck. I think it happened because we put the proper team together. Everybody's doing everything for the right reasons. Nobody is thinking outside of anything other than what's best for Southampton on a daily basis. And so the product that happened on the pitch didn't really surprise any of us.
But can you talk about how you personally experienced it? I mean, you lost the coach. We're at Joe Pochettino. You sold Luke Shaw, Ricky Lambert, Callum Chambers, Dejan Lovren, Adam Lallana. $145 million came the other way. The English media and Southampton fans went absolutely berserk. Yet you face up to them. I mean, you face up to the English press who'd sharpened their knives. You were relegation fodder before the season. Everyone knew Southampton were going down. You said, we're going to be stronger this season. What's the secret to this leadership alchemy?
Well, more than anything, believing in the people that you have around you. And I think that what happened in Southampton is it was all about how you want to treat people. And that's how we hired. That's how we put our team together. And you could see that everybody was on that page. And I think the confidence comes out of just creating a real honest culture and a very transparent culture. What we expect from one another is really clear. Nobody's playing any games, and so you get synergy out of those kind of environments. And they're not given to you. You have to earn them, and you have to pay a price for it. And that's what we did there every day. And so that gave us confidence that we were working very, very hard together as a group, and that we could overcome what everybody thought was an impossible situation and make it possible.
But when a club, let's talk specifically, a club like Arsenal, they come in. They offer you $25 million for Callum Chambers. I mean, if someone offered me $25 million, I know I'd just start salivating like Pavlov's dog. But can you describe what process goes on in Southampton when that offer is received? Can you talk about where Chambers was on your depth chart? Who makes a decision? How many people are involved in that decision? What's the strategy that leads to a decision that, yes, Callum Chambers is going to make that move?
That's a really good question, because we'd reached a breaking point where this was one of our young upcoming superstar national under 21 players, and the question was very simple, because we are working within our means. We have Katarina Liebherr invested to bring the club from League One to the Premier League, and it was time to stop her investment and for us to become a long-term sustainable model where we live within our means. And so the discussion was simple. Do we want to still buy Sadio Mane? Do we still want to bring in players near the end like Tobias Alderweireld as a loan? Can we afford it? And the answer was no. We needed to make some transfers, because with these transfers last summer, we did not only buy a lot of new talent or loan it, we've also locked in the contracts for 3 years and covered them, so that we've taken the risk out of our model, so that Southampton Football Club can live for a long time within these boundaries. So that was the way the decision went. It's very simple. We make the financial decisions as a board. It's given to Les Reed and Ronald Koeman, and they need to work within those, and they're all in, and they did it. So it's what happened. We ended up buying 2 more players.
It's Les and Ronald who make the actual tactical decisions.
Yes, they need to make the final football decisions. We make the financial tactical decisions, and then there's the sports tactical decisions. And
where was Callum on the depth chart?
Well, he was actually, if you look at the way we were set up as a team, that Nathaniel Klein was very clearly for us the number one. back there on the right side, and so he was our second choice going into the training camp. And at that point, you can look at Nathaniel Klein now, probably part of the English squad as they get ready for Europe and the European Championship. And it was the right decision, and he was there on our depth chart. So it was for the club, for the team. Callum's done wonderful in Arsenal. We're very happy for him, and it's part of Southampton. We try to retain as many as we can, but once in a while we'll need to sell a player to be able to finance some more depth, to finance a little more experience in the roster to make us competitive in the league.
You've got a very strong director in Les Reed,
very strong.
A footballing legend
Yeah.
in terms of the youth talent and the scouting operations. You've changed managers seemingly without a speed bump.
Right.
How important is Ronald Koeman within the overall operation?
Well, he's the one that brings the final first team together, and that's what we do everything for in Southampton, is so that in the end they can concentrate on football and bringing the best possible product out there for our fans, for our fan base, and that's he is so passionate. I love his worldly experience of the player, Ronald Koeman, but also the manager. What he's gone through the last 15 years is a lot of ups and downs where he's grown, and he's in the right place at the right time to really build something special. And his naturalness, his honestness, his directness is something that we like and works for our club very well.
We've talked about Les Reed briefly, but under him, the youth program at Southampton, it's like a many-headed hydra. Yeah. I mean, Southampton's strength, I'd say, is its depth. Your youth development track record is peerless in England. Gareth Bale, Theo Walcott, the Ox, everyone that went to Liverpool last season. I mean, what is Southampton doing right in terms of youth development that so few teams in the Premier League, where it's a buyer's kind of frenzy, you're developing your own talent? What are you doing right that other teams aren't, Ralph?
Well, we have 82 people working there in the staff at the academy. So that's the one beautiful thing when you come from North American Major League Sports, where you don't have anything to do with your youth development. You just draft the final product. You hope to draft a good final product, whereas we have influence on that. We had 8 players that came through our academy playing in the roster this year, and 5 new young players came to matches in the Premier League. So it's a beautiful thing. But what we have there is an outstanding group of people, again, and there's a clear philosophy in the club, the way we want to play football, the way we teach football. Martin Hunter, our technical director, we've hired new Ross Wilson in recruiting and in leading our scouting department, and we've just got good people. I could just keep going. Matt Hale, who runs our academy. There's so many very strong, passionate football people in and around the academy under Les Reed, who are all part of this great machine that's producing players from 8 years old. In America, people need to know our main recruiting happens from 5 to 8 year olds. You see the parents coming for multiple weekends, watching their kids trying to qualify. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds that are being brought in from the area within 2-hour drive, and they get scouted, and then we pick only 10 or 11 for our 8 year olds, and it's an amazing process already, so young. And we try to build not only good football players, but good people.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's fascinating about what you do that the other big clubs don't do. I mean, Chelsea, Arsenal, obviously huge draws in your catchment area down south. But speaking to Les, the Southampton way is once you invest in a kid, you tell that kid, you're with us for the long haul. You're not going to get cut. It's not an every year audition where a bad year, bad growth spurts, bad kind of growing into your body is going to leave it. I mean, the great story, Gareth Bale. I remember Les telling me when he was about 14 or 15, he was about 12th slowest on the team. He was going through growth plate problems. They stuck with him. Suddenly he turned into the gentleman that he became at Spurs and made Real Madrid salivate over him. That long-term commitment in the kid I think is one of the great secrets.
Oh, it's definitely we have an academy that's always growing also in Bath, and we combine the two. I think Gareth Bale actually began there, and then he came over to Southampton, and that's closer to Wales, and then we then of course look at getting the potential out of every player. Our main motto is potential into excellence, and you can see that when we're looking at a player, we don't compare him to anybody else. We compare him to his own potential, and we expect to try to bring him to that. And if for some reason as they get older they aren't capable of maybe playing or holding the level, we take care of them, and the club really has a good philosophy there.
The youth development strategy, it is peerless. Yes. But do you ever find yourself after a long lunch going back to your desk and your mind drifting and you got this image suddenly of Gareth Bale in a Southampton jersey playing alongside Oxlade, Chamberlain, Walcott running at defences, Lallana kind of plotting in midfield, Lambert trundling around the penalty area, Chambers, Shaw holding up the defence. That would have been some side.
Yes, but I mean, our new buys have also been excellent. I could go through all the list of players we have right now, and it was Roger. There's no question, but as you can tell, I'm not a person that spent too much time in the past, and it's there to learn and let's move on. And I think that they were all wonderful players, and there will always be players that need to move on in our present position in the Premier League, where we accept that. We don't expect a very wild summer this year. We've got, signing Jay Rodriguez this week for 4 years is a signal that now players want to stay in that dressing room. I think the buzz in the room at this point last year was, where are you going to play next year? And the buzz right now is, how can I stay? So it's we've come a long way. And that side you mentioned would have been exciting, Roger. But I think right now we've got we have with what we've invested, we have a lot of players that still aren't near their potential, and we have a lot of opportunity in this team too.
Emotional, nostalgia-ridden. Practical, hard, tough decision maker.
I coached for 25 years. You can't have too many feelings.
But you don't have feelings. You are an absolute automaton, a robot, emotionally devoid. But having said that, one of the things I do admire about you is that when you came to the club, you went on a listening tour. You assessed the situation. You created a manifesto of values, and also a creative culture called the Southampton Way, which you essentially said, this is a set of values that we're going to inculcate in the club through the playing staff and also the backroom staff. Yes. Everybody, from the people that drive the bus to the people that score the goals at Southampton, are going to live this kind of code of values. What is this? Well, I mean, talk about it, because it is rather remarkable. You don't think of football as a place where values are embodied or even cared about, or values are valued.
No, it was the most important single thing we did at the very beginning. Is the club had grown extremely quickly and come from 2009 to 12 from the League One into the Premier League, and now it needed some kind of foundation that could really drive it forward. And one of the things was immediately giving everybody in the club, and at that time it was 205 people, now it's 275 working full-time. We've hired 70 new people in the last year, so it's good for the economy what we're doing right now. But we really instilled that Southampton way in a way that everybody had a voice, everybody was involved, and we created a clear definition of the values we wanted inside the club, and their aspiration, accountability. We want creativity. We want people to respect each other. We want unity. These are values that drive us towards this potential into excellence. But on the other side, we also created a manifesto with little pieces in it, like we don't just buy success, we breed it. We don't take shortcuts, we earn it. Things like we always move forward, and the big motto there at the end is we march on, and that's really what we're trying to do is move this club forward and not look over the fence at what the others are doing and do it our own way. And I think somebody like myself, who comes from completely outside of the regular realm of football, is able to look at it in a fresh way. We don't really look what the others are doing. What can we do the Southampton way?
When I read about it before coming, I thought it was a bit hogwashing. And then you meet your staff, many of them young, quite creative, and it comes out of all of them. They all say, we've been encouraged to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. The English football, you will not find many people. And it's across the staff, the press staff, the social media staff, not just the football-related stuff, but also the fitness staff. I mean, all those guys that I spent time with all said the same thing. I mean, it's very Billy Beanish.
Yes.
Are there American models of sport, American franchises that you've looked at and said, those guys are doing it right? Are there examples here, models that you draw upon and have kind of bred into the Southampton experience?
Quite honestly, I've taken just all my experiences being in club and management in Austria for a while, the national team program for more than a decade, and then coming in North American sports. I've tried to combine the good and avoided the things I didn't like. Now I have a job where I can make that decision. I'm, as chairman, I can make some decisions that really can drive the way people are treated and the way we deal with each other, how we get to this excellence, and our people being treated right on the way. And so that it's been and we're spreading this into our fan base and in the community. But it's truly what you're saying is some people were skeptical at the beginning.
Me.
That's good, because that's what media is there for. I mean, you're there to ask hard questions. I've never seen media I've always seen them as an opportunity to really to expand the message that we're trying to bring from within. And
I
it's
felt
it's
deeply
happening there,
manipulated,
Roger.
Ralph.
When you were walking along the water there, I was going to push you in. No, I'm just kidding. But it really is. And Southampton's a wonderful city too. I have to say, it's a great football city. It's a hardworking city. It's the people are very passionate about the club. The history is amazing. But what we have, why I can't take a North American model, the main reason is the academy and the way we can breed our own players, retain our own players, and make them the heart and the soul and the spine of the team. And that's why it's not possible to compare to the 4 major league sports in North America.
Well, look at Southampton. There's something, to me, very Oklahoma City Thunder about them, the way they painstakingly kind of crafted, built, always revised, always tweaked that team building act. But one of the things I really admire about you, and it's so different to me, the most negative man in the world, is how you don't believe in negatives. You don't believe in them. A great story I read in one of your interviews. Going back to the beginning of the season, the team was shredded. Ronald Koeman inadvertently tweeted out as he arrived, very excited for my first day of training, and he tweeted out a photograph of an empty training field. Yeah. I spoke to him. He said, it wasn't this political statement. I was just really excited. Everyone interpreted it as saying, Southampton have got rid of so many players, and Koeman has nobody to train. But you told in the interview, you said, you love getting angry fan mail. You see it as a positive. You said, these people, the fans, they took time to write me a letter to say that I'm a complete idiot. That's great, you said. If you can get that passion in line with what you're doing, what an opportunity that is. Where do you get this kind of just unabashed positivity about all things, and what is the source of that?
Well, I think the most important thing is to as a leader, create positive processes. And that doesn't mean smile and be friendly all the time. It means working at solutions with people and having the people that you're leading believe there are solutions, even in the darkest days. And I think that's a responsibility that I've always felt. Where do I get it from? I think life's experiences. I think also tragedy in the past. We don't have to get into that now. This is a sports show. But if you've dealt with sudden death or whatever, then that puts things into perspective and relativity. And you have to understand that you have this day once. And I believe in making the best out of every day, truly, with the group that you have, and trying to create an atmosphere where everybody can feel good about themselves and feel part of the process. And that's what's going on in Southampton.
I love that. You have this day once is a mantra to live by. I'm going to keep going with my negativity, though, Ralph. The English Premier League, it's largely a money-driven league. No other team other than Chelsea, Arsenal, both Manchester clubs, Liverpool and Spurs have cracked the top 4 since 2005. David Heitner in The Guardian wrote, the Premier League's top 4 this season, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, United, is a heady blend of star-studded squads, remorseless ambition, and financial muscle. What models, what precedent, what inefficiency make you believe that monopoly can be broken up by, against all odds, Southampton?
Well, you could see this year. I mean, we were sitting there right in the race in February, and the big clubs don't always play to their potential on every single day. And the Premier League is, for me, the best football league in the world because everybody can beat everybody on a given day. You don't just walk through that league, and even the teams that are out in the Champions League need to concentrate on their weekend matches, which makes it tough for them in Europe. We all know that. But it's I still believe that we are, in any team sport environment, capable to create, your talent can take you so far, but you can pass talent if you do everything else better than the other club. If you have better training and you do the best possible nutrition and you have the strongest synergy inside your room and you really go out and play as a group, play good defense, of course, and build on that. And so why not? I don't think money buys championships. I don't believe it. We've seen it in North American sport multiple times. And in Europe, a lot of teams accept their place and we don't accept our place. I've met many clubs that just say, you know what, we are doomed to be 10th forever, and then we will play there, and we're happy with that, and it's just good to be in the Premier League, but not Southampton. We're not happy to be where we are. We're happy to be where we are today, but we don't accept that as the norm, and we believe there's opportunity if we do everything else to the best of our ability without the money of the big clubs to compete with them, and we're going to continue to drive towards that dream.
Is there a conflict between youth development to strengthen the squad and youth development as a profit generator? I mean, you described the Callum Chambers transfer by selling big money players to clubs like Arsenal or Liverpool. How do you strike the balance between the two?
I think it's just a case by case. You just cannot have a clear plan there. You need to deal with each case individually. Like we spoke about the Callum Chambers situation. If you would have asked me that when I came, at the beginning of the year there, we would have never sold him. But it just fit at that time to make that transaction. And I think that's taught me a big lesson, that you just move case to case, and you need to see where the club is, where the player's at. If his ambitions are not able to be fulfilled anymore in the club, and there is truly a world-class final spot like Real Madrid or the top club like Chelsea after him, then it's difficult to keep them, and we need to accept that. But with that opportunity, with that comes other opportunity. How do we invest that? Who do we bring in? And we have the mandate to reinvest those kind of sums, so it maybe makes us more competitive in the long term. So there's opportunity, but again, it's case by case, Roger. We can't just sit here and say, in the end, it's about developing the best possible young players still within the academy from 8 years old all the way up to 21, and then retaining the core of those players. And like James Ward-Prowse, an absolute future captain kind of player, not only in Southampton, but the English side. I have to say he's the captain of the under-21s right now. He just committed for 5 years to Southampton with a contract that shows that he believes that there's that growth here in the club.
But you look at teams, great teams who have done it through canny transfers and an amazing youth system. Lyon come to mind in France, Dortmund,
yes,
the remarkable run they had. They sell their prime talent. They have to sell their prime talent when the big clubs come calling. The reservoir, youth talent reservoir, ultimately runs dry, and then they kind of fall off a cliff. Are you afraid of that at Southampton? If not, why not?
Well, we just believe that we're only growing right now. Like I said, we've expanded our academy in Bath. We're going to increase the numbers in our youth program, and we just are going to continue to build on a model that has been built over time. Les has been there, for almost 5 years now, and he was working on the foundation that when I arrived was there, and I saw that the most difficult thing would be to build the football foundation. If it was sick, it would have been a difficult job to take on as a chairman, but you could really feel that there is a solid ground here to build this Premier League club on. And so I don't believe that what's happening in other clubs is relevant to us. It's about the new academy we opened, which you presented so nicely, a building built for almost $50 million, which people need to understand. That's the kind of youth investment that goes on in English football, and that's the kind of belief we have in our future, built on, again, I'll say it, English spine, youth players, homegrown players as at least 50% of our playing team.
Can you give us a sense of what will happen at Southampton in the off season? What are the orders of business as you see them?
Well, last summer at this time, I can tell you my phone was running with texts, and Les Reed's calls were on, and that was more for players on the way out, looking outside over the fence, thinking it was going to be better somewhere else. This year, it's been very calm to this point, and we feel a very calm, controlled summer ahead. We believe that retaining this group will create a synergy that will make us even stronger next year, and there will be a few transfers. That's the nature of the beast, and it will be more in control, though. It'll be more at our tempo, and we look forward to trying to take one more step a little bit deeper with the club. But if we even just retain this team and we're able to move into the next season with it, that would be a huge accomplishment, because just having the manager back in spot, having the players back and coming back, because the summer and the break is the shortest in any major league sports. People need to know the players get 3 weeks off in English football, whereas if you look at most of the sports here, hockey, basketball, football, baseball, players have multiple months off in the off season where they can train and regenerate. We begin on August 8th, our first season. Our first game. It'll run till May 17th. After that, it'll be the European Championships, where probably 10 to 12 of our players will be participating. So it's a grueling season. It's a grueling, and that's why to create an atmosphere where players want to come every day to play football, where we have a real positive culture, which a positive culture doesn't, again, mean always smiling. It means being honest with each other. It means being clear on your expectations, being transparent, and that's what we have in Southampton. But this quick transition of a 3-week break back into the new season, that momentum of the team and the experiences from this year would be good to keep the squad together. We are fighting hard to do that.
How key is keeping hold of Morgan Schneiderlin?
Well, I think that was a critical moment last year in August when it was a point where I didn't speak a lot in the media during the summer, but it was one point where I needed to stand up as the chairman and the representative of the club in that situation to say, it's enough, stop now. And Morgan, it's an credit to him, the way he dealt with the situation where he had opportunity to leave and we said no, and he accepted it. Very, very seldom. People need to know here, and especially in North America, that contracts there, when they're down to about 2 years, they're pretty well done. So a 5-year contract actually means a 3-year contract because players begin to think about leaving, and so we will see what happens here. We are speaking with Morgan. We are in conversation with him. We're going to wait till the season ends, and then Les Reed and Ronald will make the decision that's best for the club and for Morgan altogether. But it was great the way he played this season. He was an absolute middle piece in our team. He bought totally in after we said, no, you can't leave. And he has become a better football player by staying in Southampton.
How anarchical is the off-season? If I were to get you to, in a sealed envelope, write who's coming in for Southampton now and who would you guess is possibly going to go on to lesser things, how close would you be to being right come kickoff?
I believe that you have to expect the unexpected in the way the football transfer world works. And it's one of the things I love about football is in North America, the sports are all very controlled in the way the transfers are made. And there's all kinds of salary caps and this and that and everything that hinder the movement of players. And I think that we deal with the world. The entire world is available to us. And we have in our black box clear targets. Players are not brought to Southampton. They are targeted by Southampton. Our recruiting staff has been out there working diligently to put all the different targets and positions to place. And if we need to tap into one, we'll have a depth of knowledge on our list of players that we will go after. But I tell you the truth, Roger, there will be some unexpected things happening again this summer. That's what we're expecting. And so, but I think I would be much, much, much closer to the team that we will have in September than I would have had last year. I don't think I could have guessed what went on there.
I would love Cody Cropper to be the starter. I do want to ask you about North America. You talked about the world. I'm saying that North America because you're Canadian, but I really mean the United States.
Okay.
The Premier League brand has just exploded over here, particularly after the last World Cup. It's been a gold rush for the Chelseas, the Manchester Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Evertons. How important is the US in terms of Southampton's strategic priorities for brand building, and how do you kind of take your underdog against all odds brand and find room for it amongst the kind of big dogs?
Well, we really believe that as far as teachers of the game of football, that Southampton can speak with the big clubs. So we know where we're as strong and where we're not as strong. Where we're definitely as strong is teaching the game. And America wants to learn the game. They want to learn the game of soccer and are hungry for it. And we think there's a role for us here in North America to help coaches develop, to help grassroots football develop. I believe that we can truly passionately do that, and you will hear more and more about Southampton in the next months and years to come as we will work on helping American football improve. It's a major market for us to concentrate on. It was North America or Canada was my home for 20 years or half my life, and that's not quite half at 55, but
you've completely befuddled me on that one. It's about 4/5.
Yeah. Mathematical genius. But more than anything, I think that's what you need to look at is where are you good at, and we do not compare ourselves financially to the clubs that you keep mentioning, Chelsea or Arsenal or Man United, and that's okay. Let them have what they have. But we think we can be a teacher.
Your prime asset here is not the kind of the panache, the buzz, the kind of the sheen. What you can export to America is the kind of coaching know-how, the coaching mechanism that you've pioneered in Southampton.
Yeah, well, the club, and again, I can take zero credit for this. It is there. It is a part of that club. It is in the veins of the club, and I've only come in now to help facilitate improving the health of it, and it's really, truly, that's what we will bring America is the teaching side of it. And once again, Roger, in the next months you will see different models coming in here where we will expand our contact to the great development here. I feel it everywhere I go. I was just in Florida. I've been around the States, and I can feel the way football is growing in leaps and bounds, and we just want to be a part of that.
The tectonic plates are most certainly shifting here. We just had Tab Ramos, the the US under-20 coach, come on the show and talk about that need to bolster the kind of coaching in the under-12 to under-16 age group. So any contribution Southampton can make will be gorgeously received at all levels. But I've got to ask you, what is success for a club like Southampton? Do you market? I mean, as fans, we all believe emotionally, not rationally at all, that Premier League, FA Cup, whatever, trophies. But as a board member, is it league position? Or is it like identifying young raw talent, selling them on for the club's bottom line? Is that the thing that brings out the fist pump?
Number one is, if you're working in sports, is you have to want to win. You have to be doing everything to win it, but it shouldn't be your focal point every morning when you get up. It needs to be a byproduct of everything else you do. It's a big difference in focus, because you will treat people different if you're only out to win every day at all cost. Doesn't matter what skeletons you have in your closet after. We want to get there really, truly on the honest path of overreaching and beating all expectations out there in the English Premier League. And I think we're going to, I believe we're going to do that. But we also want to win. So we want to grow. We want to teach. We want to expand. We want to keep our English spine. We want to continue to be a club who teaches also in the world how to play football. We want to share this knowledge. We have an unbelievable intellectual capital in our academy that's been built up over years that we will start bringing out there. But at the same time, we want to win. And we want to get into Europe. We want to be a part of the European mix. And we believe we can get into the Champions League. And we will find a way, somewhere, somehow. So in all of the beautiful philosophy, Roger, it's still about winning. If you're not giving your fans something to cheer about, and if you're not out there to raise cups, then what's the purpose of being in sports for me? I mean, but again, let's make it a byproduct, and let's just get there the right way on solid ground without bad financial investment and masses of losses along the way. No, let's do it on and off the pitch. That's what a winner would do.
Southampton have winning in their DNA. You have won trophies. You won the league in 1897 to 1899. You won it again, 1901, 1903, 1904. I still had my hair
back then. You are
mathematical.
Then.
You've had a bit of a drought since then. But
just a century.
The Premier League is about money. Can you give us some hope? Give us one ray of sunshine that makes you so sure that the club will win silverware again.
Well, it's just clearly when you're just come as you did inside the club and feel the spirit and walk into our room now, walk into the club, walk into the offices. Everybody is working towards that goal. And when you get a group of people like we do now, as I've said, 275 staff off the pitch, we've got the first team and all the way down through our academies. Everybody is working towards that as a group for the right reasons. Then I just believe that's possible. So let's keep having fun with it. Above all, that's important in the day. I told you one day at a time. Let's enjoy it too, and that's what we're doing.
Last question for you. Chairman to chairman, travelling around the country, in those chairs, there's always talk about the mythical bottle of wine shared after games by the managers. Just give us a nugget as an outsider, as a North American outsider. How has life been in that chairman culture in the Premier League?
You get to know the way the Premier League works so fast because the way they host you. Everybody needs to understand the boardroom is an interesting concept that doesn't exist, as far as I know, in any North American sports league. And we would meet with the opposition leadership. It could be the owner, the chairman, the CEO, whoever happens to be there will come to Southampton. We host them 2 hours before the match. Halftime, we eat dessert together. And post-game, you decompose whatever happened and speak about it, win or lose, tie, whatever. Everybody draw. Everybody really is open in that way. And so whether we're in Arsenal when I go on the road, or Chelsea or Man City next weekend, I'll be in the boardroom with the owner, with the families, and we can communicate that way. So as the managers are sharing a bottle of wine down post game, we are up breaking bread together, and I think that it's really an interesting culture. I love that. Yeah, it's very fascinating.
Warmest boardroom that you've encountered? Who are the best hosts?
I have to say that they're all unique in their own way. But you can go into a club like Hull and you get treated like it's a living room and a family, and it's so warm. And even a big club like Arsenal really makes sure and goes out of their way to make sure you feel at home there and have a good time. And it's a big change. 25 years on the bench, coaching every day in this little vacuum, but now moving up into those boardrooms, it's still very connected to the games, to the matches, and as football is a non-stop piece of art, really, actually, as it goes, every game is a piece of art of its own. In and around it, the English culture is something special.
From the NHL to eating pies in Hull, I could not be more envious. We could not be more grateful for you giving us this insight.
No, it's been a real pleasure.
The mantra "Make this day matter" is a code that I know I'm going to start trying to make live my life by. Ralph Krueger, we wish you, your team have given us unbridled pleasure this season. We hope that run continues in seasons to come.
Keep an eye on us next year for sure.